All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Cocktails and Celebrations event. Before I turn things over to Keith Wolling, I wanted to go over a few Zoom logistics. I know a lot of us are used to these virtual meetings, but I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping items. We're happy to have you all join us here today, and we hope that you and your entire Tiger family are well. We do have sign language interpreters here with us today. Special thanks to Jennifer and Alex for being here. Through registration, we weren't able to collect interpreter requests, so the interpreters will be here for the program. If you are in need of an interpreter, please let us know in the Zoom chat. We are in a Zoom meeting. All attendees have the ability to turn their camera and microphones on and off. We ask if you're not speaking to keep your microphones on mute. And if you'd like to speak, please use the raise hand feature in the chat and Keith will recognize you when prompted. Today's webinar is being recorded. Attendees are welcome to use the chat feature. You can message the entire group or specific attendees. And you can select your viewing preference in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. I would recommend selecting the gallery view. From there, I will turn it over to Saunders alumnus and Hospitality Advisory Board member, Keith Wolling. Thanks, Keith.
Everyone, good evening and welcome from Rochester and the state of New York, around the USA and around the world. So nice to have you with us this evening to celebrate somebody pretty special in our lives that's touched many people at RIT and beyond. My name is Keith Wolling. I'm a 1975, at the time was food administration with the business department at RIT. Carol was one of my professors in the food labs and we had a lot of fun and I can give you a lot of stories about that. I'm coming from Orlando, Florida. Actually, I live in Windermere, and when people say, where is Windermere? I say, you remember that Thanksgiving night when Tiger Woods got hit the rock by his house, by his wife? That's where I live. Not in his neighborhood, but around that neighborhood. But we're here tonight to celebrate Carol Whitlock's retirement from RIT. When you spend 40-something years at any particular position, company, institution, it's pretty remarkable. And through the course of discussions over the many months, we said, we got to do something special for this lady because she is pretty special. And every time I've come up to RIT, it's almost like we haven't missed a beat. And with all our committee meetings and things like that, I'm just very proud to be hosting this evening to everybody and just thank you for your time this evening. You will work our way through the agenda. Obviously, we're going to introduce some of the current faculty. We'll talk with some of the advisory board members, and then we'll work our way into some special comments from people, and then we'll give everybody the opportunity to say a few things about Carol or their experience with Carol, and all good. And I'll just give you one of mine. See, when I was at RIT, I was in the track and field. I was a two-time All-American in RIT in the hurdles, and we'd had food lab from like 2 to 4 o'clock. And we would be preparing food and tasting foods. And I go, Carol, well, Dr. Whitlock at the time, I got to go out to the track in 30 minutes. I just can't eat all this stuff because it's just not going to be a good experience. And she'd laugh and say, I understand. I know you can eat earlier, or I understand. Don't tell anybody. I'll let you go get through this. No worries. But truly, over the semesters that we were there, or the quarters at the time, she truly was a great experience, and what she's done for the university over the years is tremendous. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm glad I still know you and interact with you, and I'm excited to be here this evening. As we lead into this, I'm going to go to Jackie Mosral, the Saunders Business, the Dean of the Saunders College of Business. Jackie?
Thanks, Keith. First and foremost, congratulations, Carol. So happy to be here tonight to celebrate with you and all of your colleagues. I think, as most of you know, we were really happy to welcome the hospitality program back to Saunders College a year or so ago. And it's just wonderful to have that community within Saunders College. And it truly is a close-knit and warm community. And I think events like this are certainly a testament to what a great community it is, and certainly a testament to you, Carol, as one of the people that helped to grow this community over so many years. You see so many successful students and alumni and faculty and staff, and traditions and culture are built over time. And with you being at RIT for so long, you certainly had a key role in helping to build that culture. So once again, congratulations. I'm so happy to be a part of this event. And again, a testament to you that the advisory board and Keith really were so motivated to do this for you and to recognize you in a special way. And that's because you're special. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all. Really, it's you who are special, not me. I just was doing my job. But it's all of our alums I'm so proud of, truly proud of, and think of you very often. It's nice to see some of you that I haven't seen for a while. And Keith, he's always in whatever activity is involved for the department, he's there volunteering all the time. So Keith, thank you for everything.
Well, from the bottom of my heart, you've touched a lot of people over the years, and we are just so pleased to be a part of your life and what you've done to all the alumni and students. But thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Carol. At this time, what I'd like to do is do a nice toast to Carol. If you have your glass of wine or beverage of choice or champagne or whatever, and we're going to raise our glasses to Carol. Carol, I believe you have wine. Carol, I believe, and I don't know if it's going to show up. It probably won't. But this is the Dr. Pepper's colors and logos. We were told that I got a call from the CEO from Dr. Pepper when you retired saying the stock just tanked because Carol retired. So, but anyway, we know that's your beverage of choice, but we're glad we hope that's a glass of wine there. But everybody, let's toast to Carol Whitlock.
Cheers.
Fellow Tigers everywhere. Hashtag good health. Hashtag thank you. This is to Carol Whitlock. Cheers.
Oh, thank you so much, all of you. Cheers to you.
Thank
you.
You
all.
Okay, I just want to the current program faculty in attendance just to give a shout out to them. Lecturer Lorraine Hems is Hearns is with us. Oh, Hems, sorry. Lecturer Edward Gangster, Associate Professor Jerrie, Hsieh, Assistant Professor Rick Lagiewski, who was way over on the other side of the pond, and retired faculty David Crum. But at this point, I'd like to introduce a couple of the department advisory board members that I am a part of. Is Vicky Griffith on, RIT Alumni Association President and Trustee?
I don't see her.
I don't see her. Okay, how about Kimo Kippen? Kimo, would you like to say a few words? There you go. Good deal.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would love to. I thank you for including me in this celebration. Carol, it was great to be able to serve on the advisory board, and I just truly appreciate all that you've done for our IT, all that you've done for our industry, the hospitality industry, and really truly living, walking, talking, being that in your DNA and sharing that expertise, knowledge, and love with our community, our industry. And so I'm just grateful to be part of this, and I wish you only the best as you continue and move on to your next chapter in life as well. Make it a great book, much fun, much love, much joy, much health, all good things, Carol, and thank you again. And it was great working with you.
Thanks, Kimo. We'll go to Mark Reiser. Is Mark on? I don't see Mark. We'll go on to Jeff Rowath.
How you
there?
Sorry,
Yes, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Carol, thank you for everything. It's been a pleasure working with you on the advisory board. We go back many years together, even prior to that. It's been a pleasure to have the privilege of your friendship and guidance. And I wish you the best moving forward.
Great.
Thank you, Mark.
Is Jeff Rowath there? Not. How about Mark Sessler? I don't see Mark. Okay, how about Peter Starks? But what we will do is go back to Rick Lagiewski. Rick, why don't you say a few things about Carol from the other side of the pond? I know you have a few comments you'd like to say. I know it's late at night over there, so keep drinking.
Sure.
Peter Starks was muted. He was there.
Oh, okay. Well,
Carol, does this mean you're available?
Of course.
Okay.
You think I've stopped thinking?
Okay, that's it for me.
Oh, great.
Go ahead, Peter. If you're gonna say a few things, go ahead.
Nope, it's okay. I'm all right.
Good deal.
thanks.
Great. So,
Okay.
go ahead, Rick.
Can you hear me okay, Keith?
Yep, go ahead. We hear you.
Fantastic. So I just thought I'd take a minute to kind of put in perspective Carol's 47 years at RIT. So to start with, she's worked under 5 RIT presidents, 9 US presidents. There's been about 80 new buildings built on the campus since Carol's first day of work. The RIT's College of Business was actually located on the same floor as the office Carol retired from. She worked in that space for approximately 141 quarters or 94 semesters, but I'm sure she wasn't counting. One of the things I discovered in the yearbook, looking back to Carol's first couple of years, and you can trust me, Carol, I don't have pictures.
Those would be
talked
the
about-
pictures to show, not the current ones.
The concept of business in the yearbook was said to be relatively new. Its development roughly paralleling the rise of the business and commercial community in the last decade. So again, the whole idea of business education was just evolving when Carol was just starting on the RIT campus 47 years ago. A fact that Carol knows I brought up before, which I think some of the alums will appreciate, was the year that Carol started was the year that Grace Watson announced unlimited seconds for all meals in the dining hall. But on a serious note, just talking about some of Carol's accomplishments, she holds a Ph.D. in food science and technology from the University of Massachusetts and has been a registered dietitian since 1976. She received the Eisenhower Outstanding Teaching Award in 1986. She earned the rank of professor in 1991 before the automatic tenure promotion from assistant to associate professor. She chaired the school's accreditation in 1990s and 2000s. Through her product development and innovation classes, Carol partnered with Dove Chocolate, Bird's Eye Foods, Heinz, Kraft, and many others to provide students with real-world experiences. She also served as the department chair from 2010 to 2016, leading the curriculum conversion from quarters to semesters. A couple final thoughts. Carol to me is someone who's just extremely flexible. When I think of Carol's early career coming out as a PhD in food science, I found this interesting award that she received back then. She won the Best Paper Award from the American Oil Chemist Society International meeting entitled Thermal Oxidation of Monounsaturated Short Chain Fatty Acids. But Carol's been flexible as she's moved into an institution in her first year that was really focused on undergrads. So for almost 5 decades, Carol supported countless students in food preparation, safety, traceability, and innovation. She's been very flexible in helping RIT when it opened its campus in Dubrovnik, teaching online classes consisting of between 130 and 200 students for almost 10 years straight to support the curriculum there. She also helped with initiatives related to sponsored research and student scholarships, helping generate and maintain over $500,000 in funding. Carol is obviously energetic. Carol could have easily coasted in her last couple of years as a full professor, but she continued to update her courses through certifications in Lean Six Sigma and implemented the use of technology in her lab-based courses. She was in 5 days a week and usually on Sunday. Carol is truly one of those special individuals at RIT who has helped its transition from a very regional institution to today's globally recognized leader in private education. Again, Carol, many thanks from me and from the faculty and staff in the department. And again, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Well done.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on. Vicky Griffith has joined the call, our Zoom, and obviously President and RIT trustee. Vicky, good evening and welcome to Carol's special evening.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, good.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be here with Carol, or as I've called her for so many years, Dr. Whitlock. And I will say that one of my most personal, fondest classes was product development, because that was mentioned. And I just remember learning the acid effects on proteins in poultry and almost poisoning Karen DeMilo. So I can make a mean marinade now, and Ryan Brooks would be very proud of me from Brooks Barbecue. But Carol, you've been such a mainstay for the department, and you've impacted so many students' lives. And you've had just a great career with RIT, and you have to be so proud of you. Look at some of the alumni that are out there, alumnas, all the above. So as president of the Alumni Association and trustee, I'm just thrilled to be here and celebrate you today. So thank you for having me.
Great. Vicky, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Now I just want to work our way through a few other attendees that are on the call. I'd like to invite Jim Burnt to share a few words with us. Jim, you there? There you are.
I am. Can you hear me?
We got you. Yep. Yes, sir.
Well, Carol, I've known you for 46 years. I remember when you were 8 months pregnant, running all over the 4th floor. We used to call you the hardest working professor in academia. Nothing has changed. You ran with the dangerous crowd back then. Remember George Alley, Ivan Town,
Yeah.
Frank Busey, and of course, Marge?
Yes.
Those were the fun days. I want to congratulate you on your retirement. I never thought I'd get there before you, but I'm waiting. I want to thank you for being my advisor first, my professor, my mentor, and most importantly, my friend. Well done, Dr. Whitlock. We're forever grateful for your passion, your dedication to your students, your fellow faculty members, and the entire RIT community. We'll miss you in the incredible role that you've played in this past almost half century. So cheers, Carol. All the best years to come, and I'm sure I'll see you around.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim. Is Neil Montero on the call? I know he wanted to say a few words. How about Walter Rapetsky?
Yes. Yep.
Walter, good evening,
Yep.
Walter, welcome.
Good evening. Oh, thank you so much. Dr. Whitlock, thank you for all you've done. I was a freshman in 1980, just so everyone knows. There was 6 or 8 of us. We were in a fraternity. We were all in the same major. We were the biggest bunch of lunkheads in the world. And Dr. Whitlock, you had a patience of a saint putting up with all of us. And then in 95, 96, I went back to grad school. And there with Dr. Marecki and Dr. Whitlock, and you'll always be Dr. Whitlock to me, that I was still thinking about going back into industry, opening another restaurant, doing stuff. And you were the voice of reason that said, start considering teaching, look at something and try and not follow that lure back into industry with all that goes on and all the fun. And thankfully, I listened to your advice. I've been a teacher for the last 23 years at a college in North Carolina, teaching culinary arts and hospitality management. So I just want to thank you for all you've done for me and setting me on a wonderful career. And now I am playing it forward to all these students for the last 23 years. So I can't thank you enough.
Great, thanks, Walter. Is Jesse Redlow on?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Hey, Jesse, good evening.
Good evening. I'm a more recent alum. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2015, master's in 2016. So I knew Dr. Whitlock more as an administrator, as a department chair. I didn't take any classes from her, but I still was inspired by her leadership of the department, the warm feeling that the department had, especially coming in as a transfer student. She just made it so seamless to feel like you were part of the family from day one. And I've since gone on to get my doctorate, and I'm in my 4th year of teaching. And I thank you for being inspirational and encouraging me to keep going in graduate school, even though it's not the easiest thing to do. And you've definitely made quite a significant impact in hospitality that's not going to be forgotten. So cheers to you. Thank you.
Jesse, great. Congratulations on your career and as it continues to grow. And she set a great foundation for many people. We appreciate that. What I'm going to do a little bit now is kind of swing back a little bit because we're on our agenda time. We're in good shape. So I thought maybe if, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if there's any faculty that would like to say a few words, I'll ask Lorraine Hems if she would like to say anything at this point.
I think Lorraine Hems is celebrating the 8th birthday of her son tonight.
Gotcha. Okay. How about Ed Gangster? I know, Ed, you're on. If you would like to say a few words.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for, basically, you and Dr. Demoy were the two people who really led me into teaching as well. And, you've helped me along a lot, and thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ed. Is Jerrie Hsieh on?
Hi, Carol. Carol, actually, I joined RIT about 5 years ago. When I first came over to Rochester for the job interview, Carol actually was the first RIT person I met. And, I just want to say I feel so lucky and so honored that I was able to work with Carol before she retired. And thank you so much, Carol. I have learned a lot from you, and you have set such a great model for us, and I miss you all the time. Every time I stay late in my office, I begin to I wish Carol were here. I got somebody to talk about. Miss you a lot, but I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Hey,
Jerry.
Thank you. And we'll go to David Crum. I believe he's got that nice San Francisco bridge behind him. David, want to say a few words? I know he's there.
He's not on mute.
David, if you can unmute yourself. Okay. So at this point, what I'd like to do is maybe do something. There you go, David, go ahead.
Yep. Hi, Carol. Congratulations. I can't believe you've finally done this. And I wish you all the best. I know you'll be into a new chapter of your life, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
That's great. Now, maybe we do a department update, and then we can get into our chat with everybody that's on the call. Bill D, do you want to talk about some updates on the program?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm not going to do a lot of updates. My name is Bill Dresnack. I am the interim chair of the department. Came on about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And I'm seeing some names here that I have heard about, all kinds of great people. I feel very fortunate to be part of the department. It's a real privilege. I apologize because apparently my coming in scared Carol away. And, between me and COVID, I think Carol decided she'd had enough and retired. But all seriousness, Carol, you and I have talked about, we've talked about many things in the year that since I came in and, after you before you retired. And Carol, you were so generous with your time and so gracious with how difficult it was to communicate to me all the things I needed to understand and how many times you had to repeat things because I wasn't getting them in the first round. Folks, Carol is a giant as far as I'm concerned. I came in and Carol's knowledge of everything in the hospitality department, not just the hospitality department, but the way it interacted, the different programs with other programs at the university and the way things needed to get done and outside connections, with Statler and Dove, and I can go on and on and on. And just so generous and gracious with her time, with me, with students, with the rest of the faculty. And Carol, I just want to thank you, for all that you gave me. As far as updates, I'm just going to keep this very brief, folks. You all are becoming aware, if you're not already aware, that the programs have been moved back into the business school. Saunders College of Business, as our deans, said at the outset. And that means there's some changes. There's some growing pains or non-growing pains, just some pains that go with that, just some changes in policies and processes and various people involved. We are trying to move the programs in a direction that will be consistent with where the future of the industry seems to be going. And a lot of that tying into what RIT does best. We're tying in technology, we're tying in management, we're tying in data, analytics. So we are trying to get ahead of the curve where the industry is going and providing our students with transferable skills. As we all kind of know, in the last year with COVID, the industry has really been decimated in a lot of ways. But we've got amazing students who are really looking for all kinds of different opportunities, and we're trying to make sure they have transferable skills so they can respond to wherever the marketplace is going. We're revising our master's degree programs. Our bachelor's degree programs are the way they were 35 years ago in some sense, in that we now have a lot more business content, and we are looking at different partnerships with different departments to try to build programs that cut across different disciplines. And we are continuing to reach out to employers and alumni. Co-op continues to be an amazing opportunity. We've got the program in Zagreb, and we're trying to continue to build on the historical global connections and opportunities. So I'm going to leave it all at that and just say thank you all for being here. Again, for me, Carol has just been just an amazing resource. Even before I got into the hospitality department, she and I knew each other through other things I had done on campus. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to be able to be part of this. Carol, thank you for all you've done.
Bill, thank you very much for the update. You know, I can tell you everybody, and I've been on a few calls with the advisory board and the assimilation into the College of Business again, which I think is tremendous. There's so much going on. I get very excited to what I see in the growth and the forward thinking of the deans and the professors and where things are going. And you know what we've got to do is as RIT alum is really brag about who we are in that hospitality program or the hotel program or the master's degree, because you know what, that's what we're about. So, you know, something to think about, and feedback is always good, and you can route it to Bill or myself, is, you know, maybe once a quarter we pull everybody together, or maybe it's every 4 months or 5 months we talk about hospitality, and maybe so we can pull this together and get people more excited and brag about it, so we can continue to help grow the program, whether it's domestically or internationally, because, you know, RIT's got a great reputation. You know, last Thursday night I was on the international, the Cyber Security Institute's call, and it's pretty amazing stuff. And even last week, Thursday, later on, I was on a call with the scholarship program with a potential student that's over in Tampa that is interested in the College of Business, the finance department, and he's possibly he is a baseball player and has interest in RIT. So I was on the call with him and his parents, with Rob Groh, to promote RIT and brag about it. And, you know, I was an athlete, so I can relate to him on that. But I said, you know, this university is pretty amazing, and it's got a great reputation. So I just share that with everybody, because you know what, we got to brag, we got to let everybody know what we're about, and then continue to do that. Because I'm down here in Orlando, and UCF obviously has got the Rosen School of Hospitality, and you know, I mentor some students there. But we can do a lot of that with RIT as well, because Zoom has worked for everybody, and we continue to interact. And I think being a mentor is tremendous and keeps us young, and that's all about the future. So that said, I believe at this point we can start talking about, people can raise their hands, introduce yourself, what year you graduated, where you're zooming in from, and have a little time to talk about Carol. And I'm on page 1 right now, so if you want to raise your hand, I'll give you the opportunity. Maybe Barbara Cirio. Barbara, unmute yourself. Not yet. Where's Barbara? Did I lose Barbara? Barbara?
She's there. I think she's just trying to still unmute.
Yeah,
Lower
Barbara,
left, Barbara. Lower left corner. Click
lower
on
left
the-
corner on the bottom.
My hands don't always work.
All right, Barbara, you're good. Go
My
ahead.
problem. How are you? Hi, Carol. I'm so happy for you. I'm, you know, working with you for 30 years. It was just, like I said before I left, a sheer pleasure. And I'm so lucky I got to spend 30 years with you, and appreciate all you've done to keep the program going. You're a large part of its success. So thank you.
Barbara, thank you for sharing that. All right, raise your hand, team. We'll call it team because we are one team. Raise your hand if you'd like to say something. I'm just looking here, and anybody? Okay, let's see. Anybody raising their hand, or everybody's going to be bashful? Let's see here. Bill, am I missing anybody?
Not yet.
Keith, I have some questions too.
Absolutely, Carol.
Go ahead, Carol.
The floor is yours.
I see so many of my wonderful students, and I'd like to ask them what's their best memory of the department, their time in the department. And I'm going to start with Liz Gress, because I know she likes to talk. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Not wrong there. Well, first and foremost, I do want to say it's such a pleasure to be here, and So happy to hold you in your retirement. It's amazing. And just graduating a few years ago, you know, where I am now, it's just remarkable in my life. And I attribute a lot of that to you and helping obtain the scholarships that I got from RIT and getting Statler 2 years in a row. And I have to say that, like, my favorite memory is definitely going to the Statler dinners and having you accompany me. And it was just very empowering and inspiring. And like I said, I don't know where I would be without you. So thank you, and go on many trips once COVID.
Thank you. So then we have Matt Lingle, who is, you know, a little, let's say, rabble rouser occasionally. What's your favorite memory? Not of me, but of the department, your time with us.
Oh, geez, you put me on the spot here, Carol.
Well, she's being a professor now and she's calling out her students, so please be prepared, students.
That's right.
Yeah, this is graded.
Not by me. Where
Favorite
are
memory.
you at now, and what are you doing?
Right now, I'm outside of Pittsburgh. I was working at a golf course in their food and beverage department, but COVID happened and I got laid off. But I was lucky enough to transition into customer service at the township that I was working at. So still lucky to be employed here. Favorite memory was definitely. I'm sorry?
Did you have any good times at RIT?
Oh, I had plenty of good times at RIT. It was fantastic, hanging out on the floor, working in Henry's, just kind of being in that kitchen, you know, serving, cooking up stuff. It was probably some of the best times. Some of your projects during food innovation were tough, but definitely learned a lot through there.
Okay, thank you, Matt. How about Melissa Quayle? I see you, Melissa. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Congratulations. It's great to see you.
Great to see you.
So I would say I do also have a memory. So coming into RIT as a transfer student, our group was sort of they had been mingling and working together, and you know, it was pretty tight knit. And I remember coming in and sort of trying to figure out where I fit in all of it. And Dr. Whitlock was always a smiling face whenever I walked down the hall. She would always pop her head out, or when she saw you walking by her office, she learned my name within the first week. You know, all of the professors really took initiative to get to know us. And, you know, I think that made us feel really welcome and special, like I said, especially being a transfer student. But probably my favorite memories were from the extracurriculars that we would do, the trips that we would take, going to New York City for the hotel show, all of the events. A lot of times we would stay late and work on things in the kitchen to get things prepared. And those were really the moments when we were, you know, you have class at 8 a.m. and you're on campus until 6 or 7. Like, you really bond with those people, because that's giving you a taste of what the workforce is like, you know, those long shifts, and you really start to bond with those people that you spend those full days with. So yeah, those are some of my favorite memories, but I'll always remember how welcome that you made me feel as a new student coming in. So I appreciate that, and congratulations.
Thank you. How about Danielle? We'll reach back a few more years. I know you have things to say, Danielle.
There she is. It looks like we're all set. Go ahead, Danielle. We can't hear you. It looks like you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Click the arrow next to your mute button.
Well, now she's muted again.
There you go. Try it.
Now you're good. You're
It
good.
takes a while to connect.
Gotcha.
So,
You're good. We hear you.
thanks. Carol, where do we begin? Let's see. So I knew Carol when I was a student. I was never on the culinary track. I transferred in as well and was hotel. And so I knew of Carol, the famous Carol Whitlock. But she didn't let me in the kitchen, which is probably a good thing. And then I knew Carol when I went through grad class there, and then as an adjunct. So helping to lead, other professors and giving people that edge for education. You've heard already, not only to edge people in career, but through education and academia, and all the opportunities that you gave me and introduced me to people. And we're always so gracious with whoever you were with to say, well, come here, you need to meet Danielle, or Danielle, come here, you need to meet so-and-so. So thank you for all of that. And congratulations. You're a wonderful leader and a wonderful woman leader, female leader in this industry. So thank you.
But did you have a happy memory?
Oh yeah, I wrote them. So I had the Ritz dinners, of course. I was in catering and I served, former President Bush Sr. That was a big one. And I have a lot of memories also as the Alumni Hospitality Alumni Society, and all of the people on this call that were involved or roped me into volunteering all that time and having great events with you guys. So those were always wonderful.
Thank you.
Danielle, I can tell you, I met Daddy Bush as well. He came to my hotel, and he was a great man. He was a people person all around. So hopefully you had a good experience with him. He was a great man.
Yeah, I will say at Liberty Hill, he came back into the kitchen and said hello to every single one of us after the meal, which was really quite kind.
Yeah, he was so personable, to say the least, and that's what our field is about. We meet a lot of different people. You never know who you're going to run into, and I was in the industry over 43 years in hotel business, and who you meet and what you meet, and you still have those great memories and seeing people grow through their careers. That's what it's about. Okay, Carol, who else you want to call on?
Hallie King. Hi, Hallie. Unmute yourself.
Hello, how are you? Congratulations, Dr. Whitlock. So for people who don't know me, I graduated in 2016 with a bachelor's program. Like a lot of people who've already spoke, I was a transfer in, and I actually never had Dr. Whitlock as a professor, but she was the department chair at that time, and just being able to learn from her and her leadership style and just seeing how she interacted with everybody else on the fourth floor was really quite inspiring. Since graduating, I am now a finance controller for a restaurant group in the Finger Lakes area. So that's been quite a jump and pretty exciting. And I think a lot of my experiences and being thrown into a lot of random events, right, whether working for Henry's or being on the chair for the Ritz dinner with Rick and Ted, that really helped me learn how to just kind of adapt to whatever situation you're in, which has helped currently now. In terms of best memories, I think it really was just like the Ritz dinner and doing a lot of the hands-on projects where it's rough and you're all working through it together, but it tends to be the best times as well.
Thank you. How about Dean Zervos? Long ago alumni, right? Long time alumni.
Yes, Dr. Whitlock. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, we can.
Good. Congratulations. And thank you very much. It's been a little while since we've seen each other, since I made it up to Rochester. But it was a lot of fun having you as a professor way back when in the 80s and the 90s. Best memory was probably we had a food science class and we were making pulled sugar swans. You were teaching me how to make pulled sugar swans for a Ritz dinner. And damn it, you had these asbestos hands. You could play with these sugars and play with that hot sugar. And I was trying to touch it and everything. I was like, I'm burning my hands and cursing. And you kept on just molding. You're like, right like this. I was like, Jesus, damn, you have strong hands.
The secret is butter on your fingers.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun, but thank you so much.
Thank you for attending. How about Felice?
Okay, I had a feeling you were going to call on me.
Of course.
Because I didn't do a lot with food when I was at RIT, but I was associated with a lot of troublemakers that I think you had in class. So I would say that my favorite, there's so many great RIT memories that I have. I actually am a school counselor now, which is a totally different path that I never expected. But I always tell people that I learned more about how to be a great school counselor, how to relate to people by going to RIT in the hospitality program than I learned at all in my graduate program at the U of R. Don't tell them that. But I would say my favorite RIT memory is going to New York City and going to Las Vegas alongside all my professors and friends. And I have one crazy memory of being in New York City and going to the hotel show, and Professor Crum and I and some other people decided to go super late. So it was a late night decision to the Carnegie Deli. And somehow or the other, Don King was there. And I thought it was going to be a great idea to go sit on Don King's lap to take a picture. And apparently Don King was okay with it too. So he was eating his cheesecake. I was sitting on his lap. And I think Professor Crum might have taken a picture. And so that's my favorite crazy RIT memory. So
That's a great one.
yes, thanks for all the memories and for putting up with all of our craziness on the fourth floor.
How about Mark Razor, another guy who liked to do things a little differently? Do you have a happy memory from RIT, Mark?
I have a few. I don't know if I can still legally talk about some of them, but I have a few. But no, it was great times, great memories. I transferred there, and I talk about it to this day. It was a great decision I made. I had a lot of support. David Crum being one of them when I first came in, and Dr. DeMoy and yourself, Carol. And I might have started veering a little bit, maybe not on the up and up. And I really did count on you guys, and you did help me a lot. But a lot of great memories, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. How about Walt Rapetsky? Tell us about your happy memories from RIT, especially undergraduate ones.
Oh, from undergrad days, Dr. Whitlock, there were too many. It was such a good time that a lot of us in school, we realized what a special group of instructors and professors you were. Dr. DeMoy, Mr. Busey. It was fun. All of you made it personal and engaged us. Yeah, we did a few New York hotel trips where, I don't think Dr. DeMoy will own up to a night at McSorley's that was getting rather early in the morning, and a lot of stupid things like that, but we're hospitality. And that's who we are, and that's who the department was then. And then also just the touch of I remember with Dr. Marecki in grad school, he was the head of my committee for the thesis and all that. And as long as I had a couple beers in his fridge, we'd sit down and talk on Fridays and see how the thesis was going and all that. So, I mean, there was just so many things. It was a fun time. And the teachers back then, things were it was fun. I gave a presentation in one class, I nailed it. Dr. DeMoy never gave an A. He was so tough. And after this presentation on the kayak industry, he looked at me and smiled and said, "Walt, that's bullshit. Anyone else in the class want to tell Walt that's bullshit?" And one student fell off his chair laughing, saying that's bullshit. And I knew I had the A. I finally got him. So it's just that fun and interaction, which I knew I was in the right place. Bunch of good eggs, little scrambled, little cracked, all good eggs.
I knew you'd have some things to say, Walt. I'm going to ask a young man who was very serious when he was my advisee, and that's Jim Byrne. Did you have any fun, Jim, as an undergrad? You have to unmute.
I don't think I've ever been called serious before, but thanks for the compliment. Some of my best memories actually were coming back and reconnecting with each of the alumni from different, meeting new people, meeting more recent grads than I was, and just following the timeline of people's careers and realizing how unique it was that no one had a path that was like someone else's, yet we were all getting to someplace that was very good. So I always look forward to actually coming back to campus. My memories were the day I left until today, like tonight, reconnecting with other people. Those memories are a lot richer than trying to make it on class on time and get an A, B, or C. That's just kind of doing the blocking and tackling. But what's happened since I graduated is probably the best memories I have. And you've been there every step along the way, and many on my screen have been there. And I look forward to continuing to have those types of memories and keep creating those memories. So
Thank you.
don't look back, look forward.
That's right. That's right. Well, one more, and then I'll give it back to you, Keith, and I apologize for usurping.
No, you're doing a great job. You're taking the charge. That's great.
Ted Ganster was an undergraduate student and a graduate student before he became a professor here. Do you have any fun in your undergraduate days or graduate?
Little. I'm glad Fleece didn't name me as one of the troublemakers that she was associated with, because I probably was one of them. But my best memory, probably one of the Ritz dinners. Probably the first Ritz dinner the Ritz dinner where I was the executive chef, where we had, I don't know, right around 300 guests at the convention center. That's probably my best memory. That or a couple of the Chicago trips. Closing down a bar with Jeff Haberbush, Warren Sackler, and one of our alums. I forget his name.
How many people haven't closed a bar with Warren?
Okay, there are a few names on the screen that I don't have any, I'm sorry to say, don't have any memory of interaction with, but maybe they could tell us about themselves and the happy memories they may have had. Maria Lewis, can you speak?
Maria, unmute, please. There you go. You got it.
Well, I actually graduated before you started there, but I also have wonderful memories of RIT and the program, which helped me in my career. I became a registered dietitian. I worked in long-term care for most of 30 years. I'm now retired. I live in Phoenix. I know of you, Carol, because of your friendship with my friend, Debbie Siegel, who was in Rochester and was in the president of the Hospitality Society. So that's how I know your name, and that's why I wanted to be on this call. But I'm totally enjoying listening to everybody's memories of you, and I kind of wish you were there when I was there.
Almost.
So congratulations, and have a wonderful retirement.
Thank you, Maria. How about Ariel Romano? Tell us about yourself, Ariel. Were you my—
Hi. So when I was at RIT, I was actually Ariel Wasdorp. So I was actually wondering if you guys were going to recognize that I got married, or or if because I was so much trouble when I was at RIT that I would be maybe skipped. But I had
remember your engagement ring, Ariel.
So I am a Romano now. It's much easier to say than Wasdorp. But I did have a lot of happy memories. Melissa kind of touched on it earlier, but being on the floor with the faculty late nights and that specific group that kind of started out, me, Matt, Liz, we did a lot of events together. And of course we used to bother Jerrie and Ted and you, and it was a lot of fun whenever we did our events or whenever we stayed late or our trips. So those are some of my happiest memories, bothering Rick. All of you got bothered by us with whatever crazy scheme we were up to and whatever event that we were like, we should do this. And those are some of my happiest memories at RIT, was just the interactions and the support from you guys and you, Dr. Whitlock. Whenever we had something. You always, Tiger Tails, we could come to you and you would buy Tiger Tails. You were always on board with one of our crazy schemes. So thank you very much and congratulations.
And now I know your new married name, so I'll remember. Debbie L.
So when I was at RIT, my last name was Siegel, and I graduated in 1971. So I started out when Edwina Hogadone was dean of the school, and Nancy Rule, Ivan Town, Howard Green were my primary professors. But I knew Carol when she became a dietitian and joined the Genesee Dietetic Association, of which I was president for a few years. And then I came back to campus and I knew her on campus when I got involved with the Hospitality Society, and Rick and Jeff Routh and Fran DeMoy. I'm trying to remember who the people were. It's a long time ago. I've been retired since a long time. And I also live in Arizona. And Carol, I just know of you from other people more so than my own experiences with you. What a great influence you've been to them and how much fun you have doing it.
I absolutely have.
And I will raise a glass of New York Riesling to you.
Thank you. How about Terry Benatti? Are you there, Terry? iPad Teresa? Nope. She's enjoying her wine off camera, I think. Yeah. Dottie Hum, are you there? Maybe not. How about Claire? Are you there, Claire Lagiewski?
Yes, I am. Whoa, Carol, I was pushing the wrong button. This is Dottie.
Oh, hi.
One real funny thing that you probably remember, when the department needed a Xerox machine, and at that time RIT wasn't approving anymore, so we requisitioned a menu writing machine and got our Xerox. That's one of the funny memories that we had. But I also want to add to the comments of all the support you gave, because when I was there, I needed help and you helped. And so I thank you. So have a great time.
Thank you. How about Claire Lagiewski now? Are you there, Claire? Yes.
Hi, Carol. Well, a big heartfelt congratulations to you. I have to say I'm quite envious. I continue to drop hints to Rick that I'm ready to retire, and he, all of a sudden has selective hearing and tells me, doesn't know what I'm talking about. But boy, this is a long time coming, and I'm sure that this was a difficult decision for you to make. I hope that you're finding your time away from campus to be enjoyable. I know you have so many hobbies that you're keeping yourself quite busy, but you're definitely missed. I want to thank you for all of the support that you've given to Rick and the other faculty over the many years, and all the students. It's wonderful to hear all these stories, and I know I'll see you around soon, but stay well and congratulations.
Same to you. Don't hurry to retire. Okay? You have a lot more fun where you are, I think. A little stress here and there, a lot more fun. Kayla, are you there?
I am. Hello, Carol. I work in alumni relations with Bill Sackman, so I'm on the call helping out tonight. But I just want to say it's been so wonderful to hear all of these amazing memories and stories shared tonight. I really feel like I missed out by not being a part of the program and getting to work with you. So congratulations on what sounds like an amazing career.
Well, it's all of us who work together. It really is. Everyone contributes, every faculty member. And the students, they are the spirit and they are the reason we do it. And that's what I miss so much. Steve Pester, someone I haven't spoken to for a while. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It has definitely been a while. I just got done with work. I live in Dallas now, so my time is a little different than what you guys had this scheduled for.
Do you have any happy memories from your time?
Always happy memories with you. I can remember spending hours until the security guard would come and kick me out of the food lab because I was working on independent projects. I can remember all of the potato testing we did during our food science courses, and especially all of the, I think, the great sense of community and camaraderie that we had, especially up there on the, what was it, third floor, fourth floor?
Fourth.
Yeah, fourth floor. It was really great. You could always go there. There were always people. It was a small community. It made college feel like it was a much more close-knit environment, right? Even though you had obviously thousands of students that were there, and I'd say you and the other folks that we received instruction from, right? All the other professors and stuff made it a really great place to be, and also a really great place to get feedback and mentorship. You guys were always available, so that was really fantastic.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to hear from you, and I know you've been having an exciting career too.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. So Department Chair Bill Dresnack asked what you test potatoes for, but I'm going to ask that of Ted Ganster because he's the potato guy.
We do only have a half hour left. Actually, it was a friend of mine idea. He got us involved, Dr. Whitlock first, and then me with my master's thesis involved with the New York State Potato Growers Association. And I think we literally had between RIT and the Wine and Culinary Center in Canandaigua, I think we had close to 2 tons of potatoes. Like literally 2 tons of potatoes, all different varietals that they wanted tested to see what the best uses for each were. And I'll keep it brief and leave it at that.
So yes, there were lots of potatoes to taste, and that was part of Ted's thesis, master's thesis. So you missed it, Bill. I mean, you're going to miss some of these great tastings,
I'm sorry, I missed the potato testing. Last spring, Carol, in the food innovation class, I think I was there for one day that you were experimenting on carrots. Yep. And students coming up with recipes for carrots. And that was like 3 meals because I got to try all the different varieties of things they did with carrots. And it was wonderful. It was like one of the best Wednesday afternoons I've ever had. And I had no idea how many different things you could do with carrots. I wish I had a chance to learn all that with potatoes.
Yeah, and the chocolate's not bad either when we did chocolate.
Yeah, I missed the chocolate. I didn't get that. That's when COVID hit. That's how I lost the chocolate.
It is. It is. You're right. Well, Keith, who did I miss?
Well, Carol, you've done a great job. You took the pressure off of me because you took the lead right away, and I love that. And that's a great quality of yours. But I'm just kind of scanning through right now, looking and saying, let's see here. You did a great job. Let's see here. How about Dorothy Hum? Dorothy? I don't know if she's still there or Debbie L.
I already spoke.
Got it, Deb. Thanks. Just checking. I'm just looking on page 2. I think let's see. I don't know if Lisa Boyce has anything she would like to add to the conversation. Lisa?
I just want to say, Carol, even though we didn't get a chance to work too long together, it was about 1.5 years or so. I do appreciate all the hard work that you put into the program before it came over to the College of Business. And, this is a testament to how much, you did for the program and for your students. And you're still an educator. It sounds like you're not going to ever give that up. So you better come back and visit very frequently because the department needs you.
Well, I miss the students and the faculty that my colleagues very much. That part I miss. I don't miss the COVID conditions on campus. And that was a major, but not the only factor in my decision to retire. But there's no question, I miss my interaction with the students. That's the real pleasure. And truly, when I say that I'm proud of all of our alums, I truly am. And that's the best reward for all of us who are faculty, is seeing the success of our alums.
I'm surprised you don't have a bunch of flower pictures behind you in your Zoom meeting here. That was always one of the highlights of your office, was the thousands of pictures of your flowers that we would see every day walking through the halls.
It wasn't Dr. Pepper cans recycling?
No.
And you know, it's a crisis because there are no Diet Dr. Pepper cans in Rochester for like months at a time now. There's an aluminum can shortage and they decided to short that particular.
I'm sure you looked on Amazon or somewhere, right?
I had the bottled ones.
Let's see, Peggy Terrell, did you speak, Peggy?
No, actually, Carol, I want to say you and I have a parallel longevity with RIT and in part the business school. When Rick was doing the numbers of how many presidents you'd worked under and everything else, the only thing I could think about was trying to get a hold of how many students' lives you have touched over the years and the impact that you've had knowingly or unknowingly on some thousands and thousands of students. So I admire that, I respect that, and you've been a mentor for me in that area. So you will continue to have a lifetime of impact on everyone. So thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. How about Ann Zachmeyer? You've been hiding out, Ann. I think I just saw you on the bottom.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
Hi, Ann.
Well, you and I have had some good chats over the years, and I'm going to miss those.
I'll chat anytime. I'm always good for a chat.
I know. Well, you've kind of watched me grow up and, watched my kids grow up, and it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Not goodbye, so long.
Yes.
For now.
You bet. Has Jane Downs left? She too was a longtime member of the department. She may have gone already.
I think, Carol, you did a great job. I think we got everybody.
I think Jeff just joined.
Jeff?
Jeff will fill the next half hour if you let him.
Well, we'll give him 25. Jeff, go ahead. Unmute yourself, Jeff.
I don't know if he's.
There you go. Unmute yourself, please, Jeff.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, can you hear me now?
We got it. We got you. Yep.
Hello, greetings. Happy hour. I brought a ale all the way from San Francisco.
Nice.
So cheers. I'm going to open it up. And Carol, are you there? I don't see you. Carol, are you there?
I am here.
Move to the next page.
First page.
There you are. Hey.
Here's mine.
Boy, you look like you did 42 years ago when I first met you in the food lab.
And that's why you're so successful in hospitality. You have this smoothness about you.
Well, I've been eating too many Dove bars over the last 14 years.
I have. I too. And some other things that weren't quite as good as the Dove chocolate.
Hi, Barbara, Jerry, Peggy. Boy, you got the whole clan here, huh?
Did you have any happy memories as a student? Happy memory. We've all been talking about happy memories during your time at RIT as a student, or otherwise.
Well, probably your food lab. Just learning how to cook, how to boil an egg, how to cut vegetables without cutting myself. No, your food lab was terrific. I remember having to buy the white clothes and wear the hats, and I don't think we had masks at that time, but it was a lot of fun. Made a lot of friends. Dan Farrell, who can't be with us today, Dan and I were food buddies together, and a host of others. I look back at the yearbooks and just very fond memories, Carol, of you and George, and there was Sharon and Marge. Marge was an icon there in the lab. Marge Ruffing. By the way, I did speak to George Alley yesterday. I invited him to the Zoom party here, but he wanted to call you on his own. So he's, if
And
he
he
hasn't
did.
called you, he will reach out.
He did.
Good. Good.
George
So-
Alley was the department chair, the first department chair that I worked under. He actually came maybe 6 months later than I did, but he became department chair. He is the one who grew the enrollment from about 60. I thought it was 660, but he told me yesterday near 800. And very gregarious man. He's 88 and still going strong, and his hair is still black. Great. So,
Yeah, we do speak about once a month, and I kind of feel like I'm a second son to him because his real son's gotten a little distant. But anyway, I'm dominating the conversation here. But Barbara, nice to see you. Who else? Let me scroll through, scroll through here. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Haley. Hi, Walter. Ariel, nice to see you again. Danielle, James, Matt. Boy, I better be quiet now. Maria, and David, Vicky, Mark, Claire, Debbie. Hello. I'll hit the mute button. I've used up my 3 minutes. Okay.
No, you're good.
So,
You're good. All good.
May I say
well,
one more
congrats.
thing? Oh,
Sure can, Carol.
I just wanted to say that one of the unique aspects of my job was that I would have perhaps 18 students waving chef knives around their first time handling them and sharpening them. And so if you think it's not dangerous to be a professor, there's an example of that. Another example is I'm probably, with Ted, the only professor who had to eat her students' projects, and that too, they're not all 8 projects. And so that too, it's amazing that I've made it to this state, this age, et cetera. So those are the 2 things I wanted to say about my perspective of teaching in the food lab environment. Yeah. I'm sorry, Keith.
No, Carol, that's all good. Like I said, with everybody said that food lab, but you were on the chicken spin with us. We did a lot of chicken cooking and evaluating and things like that. But what we did do is had the putting on the Ritz dinner, and I remember George Alley blaming me for drinking the sangria. Now, I understand I was an athlete, so I wouldn't drink literally from November till June. Remember, the drinking age back then was 18. So, and he blamed me for drinking the sangria that they ran out of. I go, sorry, that's not my fault, but I took the fall for it, but it is what it is. But other than that, I've got a lot of family up in my wife's family. My wife's from Oswego, up in the area, Syracuse and Rochester. I have 2 nieces right now, great nieces going to St. John Fisher, sorry. I have another nephew, he went to Buffalo, sorry. But I've got a hockey player that's in Fairport that he's only in 3rd, 4th grade playing hockey, and I keep promoting RIT. So I try to do that as best I can with the family, but it was great times. And, this evening, it just, it brings everybody closer together. And I think, like I said earlier, we should do a little more of this to pull people together, to even highlight somebody and talk about things and our careers and where we're going. Like, I met my wife in Rochester. She went to Nazareth, sorry. But, the end of the day it was the great experience there was the professors and what we were about. The quarter mile, those evergreens were very small and there was no buildings when I was there. And I remember the one time in February with the sun out on a Saturday, it was 54 below with the wind chill, and why are we here? Because obviously it was a great environment to learn from. But that's just a quick few updates, and I'll pass it if anybody else has any comments. Just some of the webinars that the hospitality event webinars are up front. In critical thinking, luxury tourism is Monday, November 23rd. Virtual holiday Finger Lakes alumni winery tours Tuesday, December 1st. And critical thinking, hospitality and tourism times of crisis is Monday, December 7th. So I think RIT's done a great job with the webinars, keep people close and together. And that's really what it's about under this pandemic, is how you can pull people together and have dialogue under the circumstances that we're all managing. And it's not easy managing all of that at RIT, and what they're doing to keep everybody safe, and the president's updates weekly is pretty amazing stuff. So I say thank you as well. But Carol, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You are awesome. Retirement's not a bad word. That's what I tell people, because I'm busier now I'm on boards. I mentor some students at UCF. I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm busy. It's good, but I can wear shorts and sandals every day. That's my background. And I tend to brag when my relatives are saying it's snowing. I said, I don't care, you know, but thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to share or close? Bill, would you like to close this up?
Keith,
Bill,
two other people asked questions in the chat for Carol. I don't know.
gotcha. Go ahead. Who are they?
Yeah, Bill Dresnack asked Carol, what drew you to RIT to accept a faculty position? And then Lisa asked, what was the grossest food project you had to eat, or oddest?
Yeah, forget my question. My question's boring. Go to Lisa's question. The oddest or grossest food you had to eat for the projects.
Well, there's one I didn't have to eat because I sort of slipped out from under the request. All right, one student wanted to work with rattlesnake, okay, as for his own project, and for they each have their own projects after they've done some of the ones I planned. They each plan their own, and he wanted to work with rattlesnake. And fortunately, this was probably 20 years ago. It was $42 a pound, and that was definitely not in my budget. So he did rabbit, which I didn't love either, but you know. Then I had another student whose project, he served me chicken that was raw in the center. And of course, you know, he didn't do too well on his project. But then I found he went to work for a chicken company. And I thought that was risky. Anyway, so we've had horse meat. Wegmans used to sell horse meat at one time when there was a shortage. I would think that might be late 70s, early 80s.
It was.
Yep. So we had to have horse meat. Is that enough for you, Lisa?
All right, Bill, what was your question?
Well, my question, so none of this happens, Carol, if you choose to take a different path in your career and go somewhere else. What drew you to RIT in the first place?
Let me start back a little bit earlier. That is, I was teaching at Penn State for 2 years. So not only have I taught at RIT really since 1972, but RIT counts it full-time since 73. So if you add the 2 years from Penn State and then the 47 plus the first year they didn't count as full-time, that's 50 years. So I've made the magic number. But what brought me here after my PhD was that my husband took a job with Kodak, simple as that. And I could have worked for RT French maybe, or teach here. And I was teaching the courses similar to what I taught at Penn State. The food innovation type of course, food science, we called them then, basic foods, principles of foods, and a research methods course. And so that's what brought me, my husband brought me. We're married 52 years now, so I guess it worked out.
Well, thank your husband for getting a job offer at Kodak that he took.
That's right.
None of us would be sitting here tonight if that wasn't the case.
Well, truly it's been, you know, there's always challenges, but challenges are good for you because they make you grow. And it's just wonderful to work with students. That's the number one thing, working with the students, seeing them grow through their 4 years. And I know that our other hospitality faculty and advisors feel the same way. Yeah. That's the best. And we're proud of all of our alums.
Absolutely. Bill, you want to close up on anything you'd like to further share or anything?
Bill
Dresnack.
Which Bill, right?
Bill D.
I'll just say, so tomorrow we actually have an advisory board meeting.
I know.
Some folks on this call are on the advisory board, and Bill Sackman posted in the chat some the websites for the links for some of the upcoming webinars we have. I'll just say, you know, again, I'm, you know, relatively new to the department, but it's been incredible to me how many really great alumni we have that are really engaged with the programs. And I'll just say, I'd love to be in touch with more of you. If there are things we can do in the programs, things you're looking for that we can help you with, please feel free to reach out. It's just an amazing place, an amazing group of people. So, you know, I certainly want to continue to build those relationships and want to be a part of it. So, you know, thank you, all of you, for letting me be a part of this. And please, you know, reach out anytime to, you know, for whatever reason. Thank you, Keith. Keith,
Well, thank you very much.
And let me make that point also. Keith, thank you for taking the initiative to build this and lead this and put all this together. You know, several of us have been involved, but it was really, you know, you were the You were the leader. Thank you.
No, it's all about the teamwork. Bill Sackman's done a great job supporting me as yourself, but Carol was pretty special and she always made me feel at home when I came up to school. So that's why I think it's important to recognize these players over the years. I was in the hospitality business, hotel business for 43 years, and I said, it's time, I'm done. It's time to do some other things. And I'm busy with everything else, which is all great. But I just want to take the time out to thank everybody that joined us this evening. I want to thank the interpreters for being there. Ladies, you did a great job as always. I want to thank the professors, the faculty that have been there, especially Rick that's overseas, and I don't know what time it is, probably 1 or 2 in the morning. Thank you for your commitment and your support over the years, and I'm glad I could help you over a few things, and our committee chairs and our let's see who else, Jackie for supporting the college, being the dean, and what you're bringing to the department, which is just awesome. I'm very excited about it, and of course Bill Sackman. Bill keeps me honest. He sends me some notes. Don't forget this. I had this. Do this. But it's all about teamwork. We want to keep bragging. We want to brag about Carol and everybody. I just want to say thank you. Stay safe. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And let's get 2020 over with. We need to get on to a new year because we just don't want to talk about this anymore. But I just want to say thank you. It's a pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers,
Carol,
everybody.
stay well, stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon. Everybody be well. Thanks for being on the call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see everybody.